Quench Juice Bar, Philadelphia. Minority and vet owned, using local vendors for their fruits and adding no added sugar to their products. Available on DoorDash and Grubhub. Grab yours today. Location 1500 Market Street, Suite 1455, Philadelphia, PA. Grab yours today.
Welcome to another episode of the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. I'm your brother, O-God, from Hip Hop News Uncensored, and sitting across from me is my co-host.
What up, y'all? It's your man, Sam, and CEO of Viral Hip Hop News, and you're in the building for a very special edition of the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. We're starting this week off with a bang. Oh, God, We got a very special guest in the building. We got none other than Larry Hoover Jr. on the podcast. How you doing today, brother?
Man, I'm all right, yourselves.
Great.
Absolutely happy to have you on. The pleasure is definitely all of ours to have you on the show this afternoon. If people don't know, Larry Hoover Jr. is the son of the legendary Larry Hoover, who is currently sitting behind bars doing a 100-year sentence. You see a lot of people in the hip hop world vouching for this brother and giving him a real high praise and trying to get him out of prison in a situation where he's really in dire situations and real terrible atmospheres. But we'll get into all that, man. You're a son. You are the lineage, and you're out here really pushing for your dad to get free, man. So first off, just talk and give the people a little bit of backstory, if they don't know, about your father and how you grew up in a household without your father.
Okay, well, my father, Larry Hoover Sr., he's been incarcerated my whole life. He was known for being the leader of the Gangster Disciples, which within time turned into growth and development. But upon being leaders of a Gangster Disciples, he gained a lot of respect in the streets. But he didn't just get his respect from being a leader of the Gangster Disciples. He gained his respect because he knew how to give everybody respect. You receive respect when you give respect, and he knew how to do that. So he treated everybody fairly. So he was how should I say, he gained love from everybody, not just his own people. But growing up in the house without my father, I guess it was like any other individual that went through that situation. My father was there where other people's father might not have been around, but I was visiting my father in jail. I've been going to jail my whole life, and I've never been incarcerated. I never had anybody to go to a basketball, baseball, football game with me. Nobody to pat me on the back when I was in sports myself, saying, good job, son, just go in there and don't be scared, play a little bit harder, And, my father's always been a stand-up individual. He taught me how to be a moral person, and the things he believed in have been passed on through me. So I've been moral and fair, just like he taught me to be.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Now, I heard you talking in one interview. You talked about when you were young, you didn't really want to tell people that you were his son. Is that true?
Yeah, I went through some time like that because when I found out who he was, actually, I didn't know what type of response I would get from that. Some people could walk out there and poke your chest out and like, I'm Chief's son, but you don't know if everybody loved Chief. It took some age and time for me to see the respect that he had from other people, plus the courage just to be proud of who my father was when I was seeing all the things that he was doing. When I was in college and I looked on the news, he had a bunch of guys marching on City Hall. And I'm like, yeah, that's my father right there. That helped give you the courage to be proud to say, man, my father is Larry Hoover. I'm Larry Hoover.
Yeah. What kind of conversations and how often did you have conversations with your father? And when you did, how were they growing up?
Well, I was going to see my father definitely once a month. Sometimes more than that, every other weekend. Like when he was in Illinois, like that was just a part of my life. The trips going to the jails, like that was just something that I did every weekend, every other weekend. Then when he moved further away, the trips kind of spaced out. But our conversation, he was living through me. He wanted to know what I was doing and what I was going through. So he was, doing what fathers would do, trying to stay interested in what I had going on. He was trying to put gems on me. He was always interested in starting your own business and trying to be an entrepreneur. So he was spreading those things to me. You know, when he went to jail, he was illiterate, and he learned how to read while he was in jail. And he felt like the fact that he was illiterate was the reason why he was there, because he wasn't educated. He didn't know any other type of way to make a living for himself. So he was always trying to give me the information to thirst for knowledge, to find the knowledge on whatever it is I wanted to do. Whenever he was interested in something, he would get the book and read it and find out. And he was just trying to get me to do the same things.
So was it after like you begin to grow with him, have those visits with your father? Did you realize that, all right, this dude is actually, a changed man? And not only is a changed man, at what point did you say, I want, to actually be known as Larry Hoover Jr. as opposed to not telling people that?
I want to say maybe by college. I didn't know about, I did somewhat, but I really didn't know about everything that he really had going on. I seen there was a lot of guys that respect him, and it was a lot of guys was the thugs and the gangsters, but like I was somewhat aware, but I wasn't really aware how real it was and how much really came with it. So it's a lot of things that I didn't see. Our thing was mainly about him trying to guide me in the right direction. So by the time I was leaving high school, going to college, I was proud. I could see what he was trying to do. He had the blueprint. I had the blueprint so I can read it. And that was changing from gangster disciple to growth and development. So I always had the understanding of what direction he was trying to go in. And that blueprint was actually based on his life, from him not being educated and that leading him to a life of crime, trying to show why he went that way and to show others that they didn't have to do. This is what they should do and what they could do.
Absolutely. Now, and he was convicted in 73, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Correct.
Okay, so speak on his conviction and then the time that he was given, because at the time, for the crime that he was convicted of, you didn't typically see people in that position getting the numbers that he got. So can you speak on that, his conviction and what he thought about it? If you know, to any of your knowledge at the time when it was brought down, did he think that the fix was in? Did he think it was something deeper? Talk about the conviction, what you guys thought when it was handed down.
Well, when he was convicted in 73, they used to get like 11 years for murder.
Right.
And this I kind of hear from my mother. They thought that he would be home in 11 years. Them 11 years never came. And he was convicted of giving a call for a murder. And his rappy on that case, he came home. In his case, he said that he was the shooter.
Right.
But he came home. My father, who was convicted of making the call, they didn't give him any action on it. I guess after the 11 years went past, they seen that the fix was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I heard you talking too about the First Step Act. Talk to us about that and how come he didn't qualify for that.
Well, he does qualify for the First Step Act. The judge said that he qualifies for the First Step Act. It's not actually the law that holds him at this point. It's the judge's discretion. Wow. And his discretion, he says that he's not sure if he will use his influence positively, and that he never said that he's not the leader of the gangster disciples anymore. It was some things that the judge asked for that made him have discrepancy, but it's about the judge's discrepancy. Like, it's the majority of the guys that were on his case, they have been released under the First Step Act, and they pretty much had the same paperwork, and he fits the criteria to be released under the First Step Act. But it's the judge's discrepancy, so it's not really a legal thing at this point.
Now, didn't the feds just recently tried to like say that he still had communication and was still calling shots in order to smear his name for to paint a bad picture for the court and the prosecution to release him?
Well, anytime that is anything going on where he's back in court, all of a sudden the news media starts putting out articles. I mean, the newspapers and whatever start putting out articles. Something comes on the news. But in reality, if you know anything about Florence, which is like what's the place out in the water that's closed down now?
Alcatraz.
Yeah, it's kind of like Alcatraz.
Right,
like you can't. It's no communication in that place. They know that he can't send any information out to the world. Every phone call is recorded. And if there's nobody to record the phone call can't be made. If there's nobody to record the visit can't be had. And if it's a conversation in the visit that seems like it's what they don't agree on, they make you aware that you can't have that conversation. So that's just, they try you in the media, and then they never say that it wasn't true. And that whatever they said that he did or whatever, if they say he did it or got in trouble for it, and he what's the word that I'm trying to use right now? When he,
are you saying double jeopardy? No,
not double jeopardy, but when he takes it back to them and they find that it wasn't true, they never respond that, okay, we thought that that's what was going on and we tried to try them on it and it wasn't true, but they never tell that it wasn't true. This is just what we thought.
Right, and they accused him of speaking in coded language as well.
Right. They accused him of speaking of coded language that somebody gave him, not that he gave to somebody else.
Right.
You know what I mean? If he's speaking in coded language, he would probably be trying to tell somebody what code to use or the language to try to use. He never responded. This was some code that somebody tried to give to him that didn't make it to him. So how was he speaking in coded language? Like it's like ridiculous that they put this information out there and they won't tell the truth. It's just a one-sided story. It's just their narrative all of the time to just paint this picture of him that they want to have. Like they grew his legend so big, it's ridiculous. Like he can just send messages through the walls.
Right. Yeah, like prior to his hearing, I remember Jay Prince was really vouching to get Larry Hoover out. He was one of the people that were very vocal on it. And at that time, you start looking at some of the conditions that your father was under. And one of those was like, you already know the maximum facilities. And I think if I'm not mistaken, El Chapo's in there, the Unabombers in there, like there's some real high profile people in there. And no information's getting out. Like they got people so gagged, they're not even talking to lawyers and things like that. Talk about the conditions that your father's going through, if you can let the people know and highlight to the people and give them a little bit of an insight of what he's going through in there, if you don't mind.
I mean, for the most part, he lives in a box. He literally lives in a box. He literally lives in solitary confinement. That's his life. A little room with like a concrete slab, like the size of a bathroom, maybe. And he does have a TV, so he's aware of some of the things that's going on in the news and what have you. But yeah, it's him in his little room and his books and that TV. So he reads so much that after reading so much, taking in so much information, or either fighting for his life, he got to the point where he's looking for just some entertainment that he can read. Something that's not really so heavy.
Yeah. Now we obviously know he has no communication to the outside world right now, so you can negate that argument from the FBI. But you look at a circumstance, if he does come out, and we know that historically they don't like powerful people that look like us to be able to get communities together, to be able to utilize our resources and build on a positive direction. Do you feel and your family feel that they feel like your father's that kind of threat, that if in fact he does get out at the age he's at, that he still poses that type of power to unite and get people moving in the right direction as opposed to the chaos that they're trying to paint him to be?
Well, you know what, I do believe that. I think that one of the worst things he might have done when he was pulling people together years ago was saying that he looked at how Mayor Daley came from the streets and pulled his people together and they got into politics, and that he idolized him and what he did, and that he was interested in trying to do some of the same things. Like, because he's not in control of what's going on. It's only got worse in the streets since he hasn't been able to contact people and what have you. And if he comes home and he, by chance, makes a difference or makes things better or bring people together, that's like, oh, we've been lying this whole time. We have not been telling the truth. We've been painting this picture as this guy being a monster that's in control of what's going on, and he makes a change. Like, that's just like you guys are liars. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I believe that it's that. I can't say for sure that it's that, but in my mind, I believe that that's what it is.
Gotcha.
Talk about the transition from gangster disciple to growth and development, and when did that begin to happen, in your opinion?
Well, you know, I got to see a lot of it when I was in, like I said, when around town, when I went to college, maybe my senior year in high school, that he was saying that it was a lot of guys coming in there that were my age. It was even people that said they knew me, you know what I mean? And he started transitioning around that time, the 90s. But older guys tell me that process really began like in the 80s, like in 81 or something like that. That was before my time to even know what was going on. And it took a long time to really bring it into fruition. But I seen it in the 80s, early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, when the book came out and it was on paper. And just basically it's the blueprint. It's like you come to the fork in the road in your life and you got to go right or left. You can go left and still live a life of crime and you can die, go to jail, or you can go right and be a part of society and help your community and band together and do business together. So, you know, that's just what it was back then. Like he seen enough people go to jail. He knew enough people that died. Like by that time, I was already knowing a bunch of people that got killed out on the streets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about the youth now. You see a lot of people vouching for your father. One of the people, for your father, people like Big Meech, to get out because of the impact they would have on the youth now. Didn't we see people, I think G Herbo said it a couple years ago, that Larry Hoover wouldn't have any impact out here with the youth now because they're too far gone. Talk about that. What do you think about that comment? What do you think about that statement? And do you think that your father would have impact out here with the youth now, given the different times we live in?
All right. Well, as far as my father just telling the youth to do this and do that, I don't believe it would work like that per se. But I believe that he has influence on the people that could get to their own families in particular. Like he would be able to ignite the people to go back to do the work that's needed to be done to get their families together, to reach into the youth so they can. It's got to happen from the inside out. Like just somebody on the outside saying do this and do that, it's not going to happen. It's got to come from the community, the people that's going to make the changes in the community. So, you know, I believe he has influence and can reach into the community. He has influence over entertainers and what have you. Like the G Herbo comment, you know, that's it don't necessarily have to be a negative thing. That's his point of view. Right. You know what I mean? But it's all about respect. And the youth definitely have a lack of respect, but you know what I mean, we can't give up on them. We got to reach out to try to get to the people that they do respect. I know it's somebody. It's not many, but it's somebody.
So where you guys at now? What's the next step with the judge? You know, by his discretion, wants to keep your father in prison. What's the next step in your opinion?
Well, right now the next step is we get to go back to court, go back in court, and we have to kind of answer the issues that the judge had. So we're working on putting some things together to show that the issues he have aren't really issues at all. Those are, you know, just concerns, but they're concerns that he don't have to worry about.
Absolutely.
Now, we've seen Jay Prince obviously been vocal for some years now on behalf of your father. We just recently seen you and Kanye on Drink Champs. Kanye's been very vocal, talked to President Trump a couple years back, if not maybe last year, on behalf of your father. We see him and Drake trying to piece things up on behalf of your father. Talk about the hip hop impact and how that is going to help and assist, maybe get some more further conversation involved to get your father free. How's that help?
I mean, the hip hop influences the world. You know, so the reach through hip hop is much further than the reach through me as an individual or just anybody as an individual. I mean, hip hop has changed the way we do everything. You know, hip hop put us in the houses with people we would never be in. So through hip hop, we can just reach so many people. So the influence of hip hop is just strong. We can spread the word about what's going on. We can spread the word when it's time to maybe sign a petition or whatever it is. We can spread the word about like how we should be moving in the community. Like if hip hop was just seen as entertainment and not people taking it to heart sometimes, like some of the stuff that's going on in the streets probably wouldn't be going on because people are imitating art instead of art imitating life, or just being as art is supposed to be entertainment. And hip hop is controlling what's going on. You know, people are speaking about what's going on, but a lot of them are not telling the other side of the story. You know, it's supposed to be a story and it's supposed to be a movie to your ears, but they land a platform of what life should be, and the platform that they land is, you know, it's killing us. We want to enjoy hip hop as entertainment. We want to use hip hop to start the movement, to love each other, to speak on black peace, black love, bigging up our communities, you know, supporting each other businesses. Why not use it for that? Not instead of using it for just how many guns I'm toting and how I blow somebody down and what have you. You know, my father's been using it for that for years. Even when he did the thing on the Ghetto Boys years ago, he was talking about voting. Before Puffy rocked the vote, my father was on the Ghetto Boys album telling us to vote because we had the numbers that they didn't use, that they didn't know about, that wasn't being used, that we could use to make the differences in our communities.
Is that why like Drake and Kanye in particular getting together is important? Because when I initially saw it, I was like, well, how is that going to help anything? These two people getting together and just piecing everything up. But as you articulated, is that the reasoning why? Because of the unity, bringing the two powerful forces together and showing that and seeing how that can evoke change?
It's all about, it's all about unity, and it's about unity. That's what my father is about. It's about the influence that hip hop has. It's about the influence that he has. Like it wouldn't really just because they got together say anything to the judge, but it's showing his influence and how he uses his influence, like the things that he's interested in and what he's about. Plus, we want a trickle down effect. Like entertainers get into it, and you got people in their crew dying over whatever beef they got going on. Like, man, you guys are on top of the world. You guys are making money, and you can pull up the rest of the people in your crew. Nobody should be dying while you're on top of the world over, you know, some words back and forth.
Right. And did you orchestrate the Drake and the Kanye and Dre Prince thing? You put that together?
Well, that was my father's. That was his baby, his idea. Okay. You know what I mean? I helped play a part. Jay Prince played a part, but I didn't orchestrate it like that. You know, Kanye is from the city, and you know, he has ties to the city, so he genuinely in his heart already, you know, knew what was needed. So Kanye came on because he wanted to help and he wanted to reach out, and then Drake is a good dude, and he could see the beauty in it. So we just trying to put it together. They had their issues, but like I said, we trying to show who they are, show what type of real stand-up dudes they can be.
Right. Now, before you talked about you know, when Rick Ross this happened years ago when he came out with the song BMF, then he mentioned your father, Larry Hoover. In a way, you said you didn't like the fact that he said Larry Hoover whipping work. Talk to my audience about that and how your dad didn't really mind because, you know, his name was still being put in the light, but you didn't like the fact that he referenced his name with Larry Hoover whipping work. Can you speak to that?
Okay, well, the only reason I had a issue with that is because my father is still fighting for his life, and that portrays him as a drug dealer. But other than that, like I said, he put Larry Hoover in everybody's mouth and in everybody's mind.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. If it got quiet about Larry Hoover, everybody was thinking Larry Hoover or trying to figure out who he was. So, I mean, we can't do anything but honor that. But at the same time, I don't think he knew that he was doing something that might have been offensive. But it was, you know, I had felt kind of like it was. But, I mean, it's all right. We're way past that, you know. We kind of talked about that, and yeah, everything's okay on that situation.
Cool.
Good.
Oh, and plus, on the side of that, like my father actually heard about when guys were after Rick Ross, and he was, he's like, we don't behave like that,
Right.
He couldn't believe it. It
Right.
was bamboozled in real life, but it wasn't a movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Man. Your father, I heard in one of the old interviews, he was quoted in saying that he knows he's going to spend the rest of his life in jail, and he's okay with that. He's at peace with that, but just understanding and knowing that you guys were okay, his family was okay, is his only concern. That was some years ago. We fast forward now, and you guys are still heavily in a pursuit of getting your father free, as you guys should. He paid his debt to society. He committed a crime 40, 50 some odd years ago, and he's paid his debt. According to the law, he deserved to get out. Talk about his mindset right now. You guys are strongly fighting out here for him to get his freedom. Is he still at peace with where he's at, or is he in a different space where he, in fact, wants to get out as well?
You know what? He's fighting like he always says, never stop swinging.
Or,
But I know he understands that it's a possibility that they would never agree. So I think that might be part of the mindset that he has to have to deal with what he deals with, because anybody else in this situation probably would have broke down and went crazy. Like, that's how that place is. So, I mean, he sees opportunity and he's fighting and pulling for it. So he's not saying that I'm okay, I'm not fighting anymore. He's definitely fighting. Like, he controls what goes on with the fight in his life. Like, he can't talk to everybody else, but he can talk to us and let us know if he agrees with what we're doing, trying to fight for his life.
yeah.
It's a 2-part question real quick. On Kanye's album, and how serious was the talks about last year, I think, with the Donald Trump possibly, granting him clemency? How serious did that get?
Well, I mean, it was a serious situation. It was very serious.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't go as far as we wanted it to go. I mean, he talked to Donald Trump, and he brought the idea to him, and we were in talks back and forth, but it just didn't materialize into anything. Like, it wasn't just him on the news in that little conference blurting it out, free Larry Hoover. Like, it was a real thing that he was trying to get done. It just didn't materialize into what we wanted it to materialize in, or we wouldn't be here right now talking about this. The interview would be maybe me and my father, or my father on this interview and me sitting on the side. But yeah, it was definitely a serious thing. Just didn't happen at that point. Maybe it wasn't the time. I think the time is now.
Right. As far as Kanye, how'd you end up on that album? What was the impact of you that album going out and you being on that song?
Well, I really don't know how I ended up on the album. I came to see Kanye, and when I came to visit him, he was getting ready to do the listening party. So I seen him that day, and then he called me and he asked for me to be on the album. So when he told me that, I'm like, what am I gonna put on there? So we talked about it a little bit, and I put some things together and wrote it out, and I gave it to him the day of the listening party. And like I said, that evening while we were at the listening event, I heard it come over the loudspeaker. I didn't even know if it was actually gonna make it on there, but I mean, he used it. And from there, like, the world is being informed again that we still fighting for my father.
Right. Did your father have any connection with Big Meech at all?
Nah.
No. Okay.
Nah, he doesn't know Big Meech.
Okay.
He probably, well, you know what? With him being where he was at, he might have met some people, or talked through the cells, some people that came from his crew or something like that. But yeah, he didn't know Big Meech. He had been in Colorado while he was in the box while Big Meech was doing his thing. So it's a good chance he didn't know anything about Big Meech.
Given the history and the legend of your father, obviously throughout time, people look him up, they're going to see one thing, and he'll probably be known throughout time as that. How does your father want to be perceived now as he sits here at this age?
My father wants to be perceived, and I can't say 100%, but I know he wants to be perceived as what he was doing. He was making a change in his community. He wants to be perceived as a leader of his community, not as a leader of gangster disciples, but a guy that seen what was going on and seen what was going wrong and used his influence to change and go in a different direction. They just don't want to let him have that legacy. They like the legacy of Gangster Disciple, similar to Al Capone, but you can't praise him like Al Capone. If you do him like Al Capone, then it's a cross on him ever having a chance to come home. Like, they praise Al Capone, but if they talk about Larry Hoover for what he did, then that means he should die in jail. But Al Capone he's on mugs and buildings and everything all across the city. But his legacy shouldn't be that anyway. His legacy should be the changes that he was starting to make in his community. The fact that he was making young guys, you had to go to school if you was a part of this organization. You had to get ready to make the changes. We were coming together. There's power in numbers, and he understood that, and they know that he understood that, and that's what the problem was with him. He wanted to be known for the guy that brought his people together and started making changes.
Right, a little Dirk. Do you ever talk to him? If I'm not mistaken, didn't he give your father like a shout out over the summertime?
Yeah. I don't actually know Lil Dirk.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I was saying before, I got love for Little Dirk and his father, just like he has love for my father. I don't know what he knows about me, but we don't have any relationship, but I do know his father. And I just think that he had, so if we talk about artists with influence, I really want to get to Lil Durk because I believe he has a lot more influence over the youth as far as who are really in it right now. You know what I mean? Just to try to put some things on his head, just to let him know that, like, wars are stopped when people just say we had enough. Enough people have died. We've lost enough. Let's move forward. You make an agreement and you move forward. And they have to have that understanding. Like, if the train is getting ready to crash, you can get off the train. There's no need to keep riding that train. Like, I would like to, try to put some things in his ear, because I think he got a lot of influence on what's going on out here with the youth that's out here, with other young entertainers that's putting information out here. Like, it's really critical that what we hear actually stays in our brain, and it kind of controls us. We don't know that it controls us, but it do. So I would wish that I could get him to use his influence as best as possible.
It kind of seems as though he's trying to make that turn for that change. He's saying little things on social media that kind of suggest that that's what he wants to do. Do you, in this environment nowadays, especially in social media and things of the popularity and in the lives that a lot of these young rappers live, do you realistically see a situation where they could get out of it and could get for better? Because if it could, the impact that it would create, like imagine if somebody from another set could get together and do something now, the impact that could make. Do you think that you can reach him and get to that? Because that would be major.
I mean, all we can do is keep pushing with the platform growing and reaching the people that we are reaching. It's possible. Anything is possible. I can't say that it's going to happen, but it's possible and it's needed.
Yeah.
You would be bigger than life if you was the one to make these changes in this city and in any other city. Like, we killing each other. We worried about other people and outside forces. Let's deal with the inside forces, and then maybe we can come together and deal with the outside forces.
Definitely. In your opinion, do you think that, you got a lot of violence in Chicago, just like any other city, in America? In your opinion, do you think that the government actually wants the wars to stop? Because this goes all the way back to, when Chicago, probably belongs, we all can remember. Do you think that the government wants that to stop, or do you think they want to keep that kind of going in these major cities, including Chicago?
What I am going to say is a lot of money being made when it keeps going on. We're less of an issue to deal with when we're at each other than when we are together. I can't say for sure that they wanted to keep going on. I mean, it seems like they wanted to keep going on. I don't have the proof that they wanted to keep going on, but it sure seems that way.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that. Got another question? Okay. All right. We definitely appreciate your time, Larry Hoover Jr. on the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. Hit that like button, hit that 5-star rating wherever you're watching or wherever you're listening. We can get this message out, man, and get it going, man. It's very important. Before we get you out of here, brother, any lasting remarks you want to give to the people? Any messages you want to send via your father or on behalf of your father that you want the audience and the people listening and watching to know, brother? The floor is yours.
Oh man, you hit me with that one.
My bad.
Yeah, but I mean, just keep moving and let's move towards growth and development. Let's move towards being a part of society. Let's stop being outcasts. Let's come together and do what we need to do to make the changes that we want in our community. Like, we can talk about it and complain about what's going on, but if we don't get together as one to deal with an issue and be a force to be reckoned with, the changes are never going to happen. We're going to be talking about this same thing 20, 30 years from now. So it's all about coming together and dealing with what the real issues, the bigger issues are.
Right now, do you know about the petition to free Larry Hoover? Did you behind that or no?
Which petition is that? We've had petitions over the years, and I'm not sure which one you're referring to.
Oh, no, I'm looking at one that's signmoveon.org. I didn't know.
On which .org?
Signmoveon.org.
I'm not 100% sure about that one. I don't want to say that it's a bad petition because I don't know, because I'm not familiar with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What petition should they be signing?
We don't have one right now for them to sign.
Okay. Anywhere that they can follow or reach out to you, or where they can follow the movement, social media handles, anything like that they need to follow?
Okay, we had a Larry Hoover Project on Instagram. Then I'm on Larry Hoover Jr. _ on Instagram. Then you can follow Justin Moore Attorney. He's also on Instagram. And that's pretty much where you can keep up with what's going on for the moment.
Awesome, man. We got Larry Hoover Jr. on the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. We definitely appreciate you, bro. If you ever want to come on and spread some more information, give us a press release, feel free to reach out. We definitely appreciate this. It's an honor, man.
Yes, sir.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to tell. I see one thing that I didn't tell you about. We having South Fulton County in Georgia gave us a Larry Hoover Day. So on the 30th of November, which is a Tuesday, we go service the community in the name of Larry Hoover. We go feed the community. We go give out some sweatshirts and clothing and food boxes. So if you just happen to be where are you located? Where are we coming from with this show right here?
New Jersey.
Okay. So we're going to be in Atlanta, but we're going to be passing out food to the community and what have you. So, and it's Larry Hoover Day, the first one. So we're proud to have that, somebody that respect and came up under the vision of Larry Hoover, got in the office, and now we have a Larry Hoover Day.
Right. So if you're listening, we definitely got viewers in Atlanta. Make sure you go check that out. November the 30th. Appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. Larry Hoover Jr. on the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast, brother. Till next time. Salute.
All right. Yep. Thank you.
Peace, bro. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Love.
Yes, sir.